Good afternoon, everyone. Glad you can join us to this interesting webinar today. I'm Oren, Cohen, Shwartz, CEO of Delasport, and I'm going to host this webinar together with Rosaire, who will introduce himself in a few. We are going to talk about the advantages of adding a sportsbook and how you make money by running a sportsbook. The audiences that will be beneficial from this webinar will be casino operators, as successful as they are, running without a sportsbook for whatever reasons they haven't added a sportsbook yet. They will learn what it takes to add a sportsbook, what are the running costs, but most importantly, how you make money by running a sportsbook. Also, will be beneficial for existing sportsbook operators that look for ways to increase revenues and margin. On the agenda, we will have a brief review on Delasport and about your host for today. We run over yet the simple differences between casino and sportsbook for those who are not aware of it. The main chunk of the webinar will be on the main topic, which is how do you make money by adding a sportsbook, and also what we do and we think that it's essential when it comes to innovation and differentiation in the different markets. You will have in the interface the ability to ask questions. There will be also some nice pop quiz from the history of Sportsbook, but also some checks to see that you are listening. So will be some questions that are related to some of the stuff that we talk about, but we will leave the questions for the end of the presentation. A bit about me. I started iGaming in 2008. So that would be 14 years now. Started at William Hill. I worked for B2B and B2C, like Superbet and Matrix and Skywin Group on content, on platforms, on different sides of the businesses, and CEO in Delasport in the past 2.5 years. Rosaire, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So basically, myself, I've been in the industry for over 13 years now. I'm now the VP of Business Development at Delasport. Started back in 2009. I myself come from a sportsbook background, so I'm really looking forward to this webinar, as it's basically my bread and butter when it comes to sportsbook.
Thank you, Rosaire. So as mentioned a little bit about the Delasport. Company was founded in 2010. It's 14 years. Just about 400 people. We have licensees across the globe. Some new ones that we are proud to onboard is One Casino. It's a T1 operator in the Dutch market. In terms of market availability, we are operating in regulated markets where it requires licenses like Ontario and in UK, wherever it requires just certification. We have 4 different products, I would say. It's the Sportsbook that we sell within the turnkey, and it's an iframe and it's an API. We have the platform in the casino, and we have managed services that we offer to our licensee that they can pick all or some that we will do for them. The main philosophy, I would say, that what drives us when it comes to the products that we build, it's the fact that we see the main issue of iGaming when it comes to acquiring and retaining players. The main reason that we see, there are a few reasons, but the main reason that we see for this challenge is the fact that all the different operators out there have the same content, or at least access to the same content. So everybody has Aviator, and everybody has Manchester United and Djokovic. This visual that you see here, it's like teasing. Just figure that Netflix and Amazon Prime will have the very same content and just a little bit different layout and ordering. Of course, it doesn't make sense. But in iGaming, it does, because this is a fact. It looks the same content, and therefore there is a need to move beyond content. So if we want to retain the players better, we need to offer them services on top of the content. And we will show you a lot of examples in this webinar. In terms of the differences between casino and sportsbook, so this is mainly for the guy that knows casino very well, but sportsbook not as much. First of all, you will be happy to know that in sportsbook the margins are higher. Now the margin that you see here, 10 to 14%, it depends on whether if it's a pre-match, the bets before events starts, and within while the player is on. Also, this margin is higher than the industry standard, and this is something that Delasport managed to achieve constantly for our licensee. We will get into it, how it's been done later on the webinar. And then the margin in casino, it's true that it's different from markets to market, and we have the RTP variations today, but in general, the margin in casino is lower. When it comes to the betting experience of the player, of course, in the casino, there is instant gratification. If you spin the wheel, you spin the slot, you dealt with the blackjack, in few seconds, and you get results. In sport, it's not the case. If you bet on pre-match, some of the bets are a year before the event. Some is a day before, and some, as I mentioned, in play, live betting, it can be settled already in the app. But there is time to get the result. The casino is enjoying the fact that it's 24/7. You can play Starbest all day long, every day. When it comes to sport, Djokovic is playing against Alcaraz on the ATP on a certain date, on a certain time. It's not around the clock. Another fact that, of course, casino is based on RNG. That's mainly for the slots, crash games, etc. Of course, when it comes to live casino, there is a component of physical RNG. So there is a live event where when the game presenter is dealing the cards or spinning the roulette. While in sport, it's real life events, something that always actually happens in real life. Another perspective of the mechanics of the games, of course, mostly casino is based on luck. It's a game of chance. You have some strategy on blackjack and roulette, but in general, it's based on chance. Where in sport, it's mix. You can get a lot of knowledge and information when it comes to sports event, and by all means, the sports bettors that are investing a lot of the time reading the news from the dressing rooms, who is injured, who is going to be in the lineup or whatever. There's a lot of information that you can gather to have a better educated bet, including weather, altitude, and what's not. Another point is that the betting types is limited in the casino. when it comes to a slot, you can change the wager, you can buy bonus, but it's limited in general. Also, the amount of decision that you can have in the black. But in sport, it's very, very rich. It's something that is called markets. It's a type of bets. It's hundreds. On the football game, it can be yellow card and throwing and corners and correct score and who win. A lot of betting options. I will now hand the mic to Rosaire, and he will share with you the big chunk of the presentation, as I mentioned, about what are the advantages of adding a sportsbook, about the cross-selling opportunities from sportsbook to casino and vice versa, and also what are the ways to maintain high margins.
Okay, so as the title of this webinar suggests, it's about why and what are the benefits of adding a sportsbook. How do I make money from adding a sportsbook? And there might be some things that are not clear to the ones that are only casino facing operators, especially. So we're gonna go all over this with let's say a short rundown on how to make money by adding a sportsbook. So starting from the let's say most important thing and the one that matters to the casino operators is the opportunity of cross-selling. So just for us to be all aligned for statistic purposes, we took this from 10 different brands with over 100K active sports and casino players. And the way we segmented different players is that if one player had 90% of the turnover on sports, is treated as a sports player, while if another player has 90% of the bets, turnover, activity, etc., on the casino, he will be treated as a casino player. So what we see here, if we look at the one on top, the guy with the green chip, it shows us that between 15 to 18% of casino players are betting on sports. And then, of course, vice versa, from around 15 to 17% of sports players are betting on casino. So the main takeaway from here would be that as a casino-only operator, whether the operator likes it or not, 15% of those players are actually or want to bet on a sportsbook. Now, of course, but it could be that they love the content that they see for casino on your brand, but they will be looking for other brands to bet on sportsbook, which then, of course, increases the risk of losing the player, decreasing the activity on your brand. So again, even without just having a strong marketing plan, affiliation, etc., there's an opportunity of cross-selling between the two verticals of sportsbook and casino. Moving on to the next slide. What we see here is a simple graph showing the gross gaming revenue per year from different markets, everything under the regulated market, of course. So if we take, for example, let's say Sweden, okay, if you get all the operators together, all the brands, all the sportsbook products, the casino products, etc., out there, it would make around 1.4 billion. 49% out of that comes from sports betting. So very straightforward. What does this mean? If you are operating only a casino operator, you're missing out on a big chunk of the pie, being the 686 million approximately out there being bet on sports. Now, of course, this is with all the operators combined. But again, if you look at other markets, you can see the sports betting share coming from the gross gaming revenue per year, which is quite considerable. This is a very interesting one. So most of the casino-facing operators out there they're either not interested in adding a sportsbook, or not ready to take, let's say, the leap. But also it could be that they're not very much aware about the difference between the CPA and hybrid deals for both verticals. So if we take here, for example, I'm going to take a random market, let's say Germany, the one on top. In order to acquire the acquisition per player for casino would be around 300 to 400 euros. If we look at that, but on the sports vertical, we can see it is slashed by more than a half. So it would take around 130 to 180 euro for the sports CPA. So again, you're adding another revenue stream, which will be the sportsbook vertical. The costs are less. And of course, again, introducing the opportunity for cross-selling, having more content, and mostly, of course, giving the full experience for the customer journey. So this one correlates exactly with the one that with the first slide, actually. So again, whether the operator likes it or not, around 16% of the players are going to be playing on a sportsbook brand. Now, the thing here is that it might be that the player prefers to use your brand for the casino content, okay, and he registers on several other brands for the sports betting experience. But the main risk would be if this player would be playing on your competitor's brand, etc. On sportsbook, will have a look at the casino content of that particular brand. So now you have entered the risk of losing the player for good. So we all know that customer loyalty is very, very rare these days. So coming to your brand, not finding the content that the player wants, very easily moving to another brand. So again, not having a sportsbook, you're not only limiting yourself to a certain revenue, you're not only limiting the customer's journey experience, but you're also entering in the risk of losing the player to other competitors who actually have the sports vertical on their website, on their brand. Now, here at Delasport, we are very proud to say that we do keep a solid month in, month out double-digit margin for both pre-match and live. Now, of course, this doesn't come just by going live and putting the brand out there. It comes down to what we do on the trading and risk management side, the intelligent management of odds, the way we accept and reject bets as per player value, the way we increase the player retention through all the personalization that also Oren will be talking about later on, the incentives we give to the players to, let's say, bet for the underdogs, to have certain promotions. So all this, plus adding a solid team of 80 plus traders, our own algorithms, our own mathematicians, our own risk managers, and people who have been tightly knit together in the team for over 8-9 years, obviously brings these results, which we are very, very proud of. And that, of course, this is, of course, why we would suggest to most of our operators that we will take care of the risk and the trading and these managed services in order to maintain this double-digit margin. This is something more for either beginners on the sportsbook vertical or for the ones who all have focus on the casino knowledge. So there are basically two main kinds of bets or tickets. One is the single bet, the other one is the combo. The single bet is where basically the player bets on one event, and the combo bet is more than one event. So if the player, let's say, selects 4-5 different selections, that will be considered as a combo. Now, what we see here, this is why I wanted to include this in order to move to the next one. We see the different margins. We can see quite a solid margin on the combination bet. So it shows us that these are the players that we want. So moving on, how do you manage to keep first that kind of margin, and how do you manage to, let's say, drive the audience towards betting more of offering more of a combo, let's say, experience? So different missions, different promotions, different free bets, but one thing we do through gamification, which unfortunately in today's world, gamification was being used more as a buzzword, but something that we do is that we can actually give incentives to the players from, let's say, spin the wheel, get 50 free bets, bet on certain games, get more free bets on these combination bets, etc. Make a combo bet of 5 selections, get free spins. So the more incentives, of course, are given to the player, the more you're driving the audience to go for the combo bets. But what makes, of course, the profit for the operator, as you can see here, is the increase by margin should be around multiplied by 2.25. Again, all these statistics analysis were taken from 10 different brands, 100K active customers. The only limitation, let's say, to what I'm showing here is that these were taken from mostly regulated European markets. Again, in order to have and increase the margin, a way to incentivize the players to go for underdogs. So the way you can segment players, the ones that go for single bets, send them newsletters, emails, marketing, etc., in order to try and drive those to combo bets. The same approach should be taken to the ones that like to bet on the favorites. So you get a segment of players who like to bet on the favorites, and through tournament boards, leaderboards, different tournaments, different missions, again, you incentivize the players to rather go for the underdog than the favorites. Of course, again, it's increasing both the margin and the revenue for the operator. Something that a lot of marketing, a lot of operators, a lot of providers talk about, the famous personalization, but how personalized is the actual experience of the player? The way we do this here in Delasport is that basically we've built and we've added features through analysis, through statistics, and through different studies that not only personalize the experience as much as possible, but also increase the longevity of the player. So, I mean, us as a gaming industry, unfortunately, we still lag back a bit when it comes to the personalization. As much as it is said all around the world about how this brand has a lot of personalization and how we localize this and that, the truth is that we found out that in the last decade, Netflix moved down from a 90% down to a 10% search rate. So if you go to Netflix, I mean, when it comes to myself, for example, I rarely go to the search button. I see what's recommended to me, what's being recommended to me based on my history. So we took the same approach, but on our sportsbook side. I believe Oren will showcase more, will explain more in depth about this. But basically, we're giving the content to the player, the content that they want to see, the content that they choose. Again, it's a fast life. Within 6 seconds, the player can log in, see the content they only want to see, bet, and move on. So again, personalization is also increasing longevity of the player and in turn retaining the player as much as possible. We are all aware that acquisition is, let's say, easier than retaining the player. So that's why us here at Delasport as a provider, we try to help the operator as much as possible when it comes to the retention of the players. The FBet is something else which is very, very interesting. Also here showing with quite a high margin. Again, it's another way of betting. It is not something that needed development. It's another way of betting which shows our knowledge, our know-how in the sports betting market. It's basically giving the opportunity again to the player to change sequences in a combination bet, reflecting the way how people used to go to the bookie in the old times, ask for a certain selection. So again, the if is another way, is another feature in order to have a higher margin and keep the players as engaged as possible. The My Event Builder, again, as we can see, quite a high margin. But again, we did not only take the approach of showing the content, giving the content to the players that they want to see. We took it a step further. So what we've done, we are literally giving the player the capability to create his own content, to create his own bets. So let's say this works perfectly for myself. I come from Malta. It's highly improbable that a team from Malta will play a European giant, let's say like Real Madrid. So I can create a virtual event on top of a real event. So I can create a match between Valletta, who are playing, let's say, Hamrun, and in parallel Real Madrid are playing Atletico Madrid. I can create a match between Valletta and Real Madrid. And based on the separate scores of the matches, I get the result. So again, let's say there's Manchester City playing Arsenal, and in parallel there's Juventus playing Inter. I can create a match between Arsenal and Inter based on the different results of both matches. So again, not only giving the content to the player to have a personalized experience, but also giving them the capability to create their own content. And then I would like to end this with something super straightforward, something very simple. It's basically what we call the carousel banners, which work perfectly in, first, both cross-selling players between casino and sportsbook, but also, as I said before, we live in a fast life. There's a banner with the matches that want to be promoted, with the biggest events, depending on the market that you are targeting, depending on the marketing you are operating in. The player logs in, 2 seconds, and the player have their own bet. So again, what I spoke about here in all of these different slides are basically connected to three main takeaways. Yeah, one is the customer journey, which is, after all, what we work hard for, the player experience. We all know customer loyalty, again, is very rare. So in order to retain those players, you have to go in the market different than your competitors. Two is the capability of keeping a double-digit margin through all these features, through all these different way of betting. And the last one's, of course, giving the player a personalized experience as much as possible. In a sea of same, where basically all operators are basically offering the same content, we try to go a step ahead of that and give the player a personalized experience as much as possible.
Thank you, Rosaire. So just to wrap up to this part, we're talking about adding a sportsbook. What are the benefits? Of course, we're talking about casino players, casino operators, so they would like to understand how things are cross-sell from the casino, what they might miss already, reducing costs when acquiring sports bettors, and then cross-sell some of them to the casino, and also what it takes to move beyond content and to have the differentiation through the product innovation. So we rely on data, and what I want to show you is how we got these numbers that Rosaire mentioned, because there are things to learn from it. So when he talked about this 7%-ish of casino players that also bet on sport, something interesting to know that you can see it here, that there is a tendency for this group age, 26 to 35 of your casino players, there's a tendency of this group age to bet on sport. Another thing that is super interesting and super valued is that a lot of these casino players, when they bet on sport, they bet on combo tickets. You see, the majority bets on combo tickets, and just to remind you, it's over double than the single tickets margin. So it's a wonderful news for casino operators that adding sport. Another interesting thing is about live betting and pre-match. Reminding you that pre-match is betting before the event starts. Usually the odds are higher, and therefore the margin for the house, for the operator, are lower. But pre-match, again, the players, the bettors, they don't know a lot of things that might happen just before or at the game. If there will be rain, if some of the players will injured or whatever. So a lot of them in the past 2 years ish, they prefer to bet on live betting when they already have more know-how. It's about 75% of the tickets of sports bettors. They will bet on live betting because they have some edge. What is interesting to see is that the casino players, it's a lot of them are betting on pre-match, which again, it's a wonderful news for the casino operators, because this 7% that we mentioned, they are more valued because of the way they are betting. Also, to give some information about what does the sports bettors, what they do at the casino. So interesting thing to show here from what we learned, it's on the live casino. But they play on the live casino, they like the blackjack and roulette. We think that is related to the fact that these games has some strategy, so they have tendency to play those than shows. And the split between live casino and the slots, you can see that it's still the majority play slots. Not that much of a difference in terms of the split. And then from games, so again, this 6% ish of the sports bettor that we saw that they play also at the casino, you will find them playing roulette and aviator and starburst, etc. We move on to speak about, given that, and hopefully that you're convinced that it's worth adding the sportsbook, then also to understand what are the costs. So usually sportsbook providers like ourselves, they will set the setup fee for the integration. It includes the wallet-to-wallet integration. It's a fast integration, very similar to, I would say, to slots provider integration. It takes between 3 to 5 weeks to do this integration. It includes the wallet-to-wallet integration, as I mentioned, but also the preparation of the iframe, that it looks similar to the casino website, meaning colors and theme and font, etc. Then there is a minimum fees. It's true that in the casino world, I would say 95%, there's no minimum fees anymore. In sport, it's still something of the ordinary, and the main reason is that slots, a studio, when he finish and deliver a game, hereafter mostly the costs are hosting. While in sportsbook, there is human resources. There are traders and risk managers and officers and electricity and all of these running costs that exist in sports betting. There is the sports feed and the traders and risk management, as I mentioned, as a managed service. Tools like Live Center that visualize the play proposition, the ball location, who is attacking on a data visualization widget. The head-to-head statistic, which is mostly used by pre-match betting to see all the past historical results of two athletes playing against each other or two teams. Hosting and of course the rev share, because at the end it's a partnership and it's based on percentage from the success of the positive GGR. Then when it comes to staff for the operator, we're talking about casino operators that surely they have a CRM specialist that run the acquisition and the retention for the casino player. But once you add a sports book, you need to have also know-how of how to retain sports players. We have it as a managed service, but even if it's not run by us, we give all the know-how to the operator in terms of what works best. Then from acquisition point of view, the casino operators are focusing on bringing casino players, and by adding sport, they need to start looking for sports bettors traffic, meaning working with maybe different affiliates or with affiliates that also have sports traffic. And lastly, about the sports specialist, it really varies from operator to operator. Some of them have more, they want to be at ease, that they have someone that really knows what's going on in the sport, although it's fully managed service, as I mentioned, but someone that organizes it all with the CRM, with the traffic, and from what we learned, it doesn't need to be like a VP or head of position. It can be someone that do the sports management. The next slides, I want to share the needs to differentiate. Again, I'm repeating about this notion that players have a lot of options. Surely on the digital sphere, it's very easy to move from one brand to another. Yeah, sometimes there is a annoying KYC process, but it's relatively easy. You can do it from your couch. When it's so easy and everybody has the same content, then the need for the higher betting experience, for the differentiation, this is the oxygen for operators. It's also critical. When two operators have the exact the same and only the logo is different and the colors is different, they cannot bitch about why they cannot retain the players better or why some of them are dropping after first deposit or second deposit when it's all the same, when they don't do the extra effort to give the players extra. Another fact is that sports bettors, as opposed to casino players, they were neglected for years. When it comes to bonusing, they are getting mostly free bets. Mostly. As opposed to what happened in the casino, tournaments and draws and hourly jackpots and so many things going on in the casino, which is a result of the competition, of the harsh competition, fighting for real estate on the casino lobbies, and the casino providers did well and beyond to get the players engaged. Sportsbook, we have one sportsbook, and one of the reasons, or the main reasons, that they were neglected for years, and we are changing Delasport. We are changing this paradigm, and in this way, the players are retained better, and it allows us to generate higher margin for our operators, our licensees. Rosaire mentioned the personalization. I will give maybe an example. The casino operators know that the casino players are split-ish to two types. The recreational players, the time on device, and the high rollers, the volatile players. And these two characters, they look for something else in the game. One is looking for a frequent win, small but frequent, and the other one is looking for seldom but high wins. And they simply will not enjoy a game that is not with their payout flavor. When it comes to sport, it's also, I would say, split to two. It's different ways to split it, but to two. One is like the recreational guys, the cut to the chase type of bettors, that they want to bet on Arsenal, or they want to play a bet on O'Sullivan or on Djokovic. They don't want the hassle. For them, features like what you see here, the My Sportsbook and the personalization is critical, because it's very, very simple to say I like Djokovic or I like Arsenal. And then they have a section, surely on the mobile device, of My Sports. They can click on football, they see my teams, They go to Arsenal, 5, 6 seconds, they have a bet. The other type of bettors, they need more tools that are related to what is the best way to bet on a combo bet that I invest €5 and win 500. But this is a tool that allows them to bet quickly. This mix and match of a virtual event, creating a virtual event that's based on two real life events. Real life event is critical for sports bettors. They want to know that there are cameras and regulation and FIFA, UEFA, and NBA and NFL. It's important for them to be real. With this feature, which is unique to Delasport, we allow them to mix and match. They can take a game from Manchester Derby, they can take City, and from a game this weekend with Juventus and Milan, they can take Juventus and they create a game as if Juventus and City is playing against each other. They can place correct score, yellow cards, all the different markets, and they have two real life events to watch this weekend to see if they got it right. This is what it means, go beyond content. We took the same content, but we created a new type of bet. Something that we are bringing very soon is a jackpot to sports bettors. No reason why sports bettors should not enjoy jackpot as well. There will be let's say 10 selection with 1-2 or 1x2, depends on the sport. Place a ticket, try to get the most of the events right, and you can win a shared jackpot. The mini casino, this is something that casino operators really like to see, that we have such a widget. So within the iFrame, within the Sportsbook, you can have a widget with a quick access to the top casino game. And this correlates between this cross-sell notion that we mentioned, that allows the sports bettor easy. And obviously, the games that you will see there, it's the games that we know that the sports bettors like to play. Another feature that is great when it comes to personalization, but also great when it comes to margin. This feature called Personal Trader. Basically, the bettor can chat in real time with the trader and negotiate with him on the better odds and or with a higher wager. So this is like direct access. They don't. It's not with the bot. It's with a real person. Good for VIPs, but not only. And Rosaire already mentioned the fact that you create again ease access to sports event directly from a big banner and having a quick bet. That's a way to leverage the betting experience. This bet was mentioned. I will not repeat it to allow time for questions. But in general, the idea here is to not to change the content, but to allow yet another way to bet. You can concatenate sequential events, sequential bets, and you can change the sequence. You can decide that you want to take the wager and the win to the next event, and so forth. It's very flexible. And then about the engagement suite, because the features are great and you want to incentivize players to bet on combo ticket or to have a bet on the my event builder or whatever, we need to incentivize them through tournaments and missions. We have a full suite of such engagement tools that are in real time. A bettor places a combo ticket as a mission. He did it. He gets a spin in the wheel, for example, to win free bets. So it's very, very engaging, very customizable. And this is a great tool to retain the players and to give them more. It's a way to respect their continue in business with the operator. And we reach to our Q&A session. Let's see if we have questions. We have a question from Christian. I don't get it how the sportsbook personalization makes money to the operator. Okay, that's a valid question. Some of the features are tightly connected to the margin. For example, a mission capability to incentivize player to bet a combo ticket has a direct impact on margin. And you are right that the personalization has no direct, it's hard to measure it. But I would say the fact that they can bet quickly, in some cases, a player that can bet quickly because he has personalization and he can bet very fast on Arsenal, that will make it for him to stay with his brand. Just this simple thing. So it's not making money right away, but in a way of retaining this player for long term, that brings a higher lifetime value. Another question is how long it takes to integrate Sportsbook. Yeah, I already answered that in 3 to 5 weeks.
And to add to this, Oren, to add to this question as well, just so everyone is aware, it depends also how fast the operator wants to move. We did have operators who've integrated in 2 or 3 weeks. We did have who integrated in 5 weeks. So it depends on how the time to market, how urgent it is as well. But generally, it was, as you mentioned, between 3 to 5.
Yeah, it's since we have here mostly casino operators, should consider it as integration with a new casino provider, including the bonusing. It's not a big deal. Because we serve a full-blown sportsbook, it's in hyper. It's simple to integrate it in the website of the operator. Another question, you are showing examples for cross-sales from sports to casino, but what about the other way around? Okay, that's a good question. So yeah, you saw the mini casino with the quick access to casino games from the sportsbook. What we have from the casino to the sportsbook is allowing the operators to place on the homepage in the casino, homepage of live casino, a banner with a fast access to main events. For example, Wimbledon final or the Super Bowl or whatever. It can be also per market. You can have in the UK still again a derby with Manchester. Whatever it's flexible, whatever the casino operator decides. But this gives a quick access and it's very good for recreational casino players that just want to place a bet on the team that they like or something that they found interesting. It's a valid question. We have I see that we ran out of time. We have another 2 questions. So whomever cannot stay with us, it will take maybe 2-3 minutes to answer. Whomever doesn't have the time to stay longer, I want to thank you for participating in the webinar. I hope you found it educational and we got some information as a takeaway. Anything else that you need to know about Sportsbook and what it takes to other Sportsbook and to be successful in that, you're obviously free to contact us. We also have a standard ICE, which is just next week. If you want to come over to the stand, we show you more in like a demo in real life how things look like, which is very appealing and interesting. So I want to thank you for joining us. There's going to be a recording of this webinar that we will share in the social media and also on our website. and feel free to also to ask us questions after this webinar. So coming back to the last two questions, question from Tommy. You're saying making money. How do I make sure that I'm not losing money? Okay. That's a fair point. Look, gambling. So if you are Tommy, if you are running a casino, you should know that also if you have on the casino one player that was very lucky this month, you will have a negative or GGM. The idea here is the volume. We know the margin for the house on the casino side. We know the margin for the house, and you can excel with it with 2 digits like we showed you with Delasport. It's a matter of volume. The more tickets that you have, the more turnover that you have, the more active players that you have, then you will not lose money. I would say the magic numbers will be once you reach to 1 million euro in turnover a month, and let's say a few hundred of players, active players, like 500 active players, the chances for you to enjoy 2-digit margin is getting higher and higher. So it's a matter of bringing the traffic in to keep the active players in, and we saw it. We work with startups, we work with experienced sports operators. When you know what you're doing, and we know what we do when it comes to the managed service, the operator part in this way will be to bring the traffic and to do the right CRM, which we help with. Another last question is, I can see why emission and a price can incentivize players, but does the higher margin is guaranteed? The higher margin, it's related to the previous question. It's related to volume again, If there is one player that engage with a mission to place a combo ticket, he bet €5, he had 5 selection, and he can win 100, and he was extremely lucky and he won, then for this specific bet, the operator is with negative. But when you have a lot of players engage with placing a combo ticket, and for sure you have a higher margin. So the guarantee here is related again to volumes. The more players, the more bets engaging with the sportsbook, the higher the margin and higher the GGR. And we don't have any other questions. Whomever participating with the polls and the pop quiz, I hope you got at least some of the questions right. And we want to thank you again, and see you soon, and maybe already next week at I.
Thank you, everyone.